I want to walk you through how our class is set up. You'll find that most of the learning material is through modules in MyLab. So in the modules, they start with lectures. Occasionally the lectures are also given as a discussion or a quiz. What happens there is that you'll watch the lecture and then I'll ask you a few questions. They're not going to be terribly long. After you finish the lecture, discussion, or quiz, then you're ready to go on to the online homework. So the online homework is through MyLab and Mastering. Sometimes I call it my Math Lab, and you'll see sometimes we use the abbreviation MML. I want to take you through and show you how to set that up so that you can access it for the course. So here we are in the course, and what I want to point out first is the modules. So we're going to click on the modules, and the modules are put into units, and each of the unit represents a test that you will take in the class. Of course, you will start with getting started so that you can go through the course, but what I want to get to is Unit 1. So in Unit 1, if I were to click on Section 1.1, it brings me to the lecture. So you can watch the lecture. Notice underneath there is a PowerPoint, totally optional, that if you would like to print the PowerPoint, you could, to take notes on it so you can use it like as a note guide. Totally your call. I do think you should take notes as you watch the videos. The videos are intended to be short-ish, meaning when I could, they're kept to like 10 to 15 minutes, but sometimes the lecture really requires it to be longer. None of them should be over 30 minutes. If I thought something was really long, you will see there are multiple lectures to go with a certain section just to keep it a little more brief and make it in chunks that you can understand better. So after you've finished watching the lecture, you'll notice there's a next. So click on the next. Now that we're on the homework, it says we need to register for MyLab Mastering. It'll ask you to accept the user agreement, and then it'll bring you to a screen to set up an account. If you have an account before, you can use it. You can look it up if you don't remember it, or you can create a new one. So let's create a new one. You put in your email address. Now, my email address is already tied to it, so I'm just going to make up another email address. So we'll say mathclass@email.com. And it says I have used that before, so we'll call it mathclass2020, and it makes my email address then my username. So then we need a password. Make sure you pay attention to what it tells you the rules are. You got to get the first name, but then I'm just going to say this is for our class. It'll ask you for a security question. You can pick whichever one you want and put in an answer. To the terms of use, read through these, see if they apply to you. Say if you want to receive emails or not from Pearson, totally your call. And when you're done, you can create your account. Right. Then it's going to come to this place where it asks you for how are you going to access MyLab and Mastering. So this is a purchase that we are using a book. So there are a couple choices here for you. There are two prices. There's one that's $105 that gives you access for 2 years, or there's one that gives you access for 18 weeks at $69.99. I think you should make that choice, that when you go to pay for it, use the cheaper of the two. There's no reason to have access for 24 months. You just need it to get through through this class, which is about 16 weeks. So the $70 one is fine. You may purchase the access code through the bookstore, or you can purchase it online. That's totally your call. Whatever you choose to do is fine. What's also really nice is they have a temporary access that lasts for 14 days. So everybody can get started today, whether or not you're ready to pay for it. So you can use the temporary access, and it's going to say, "Are you sure?" And I say yes. And it's going to create my account. It may take a little bit of time. It kind of depends on how busy they are at the time. So this says you're done, you're ready to go. So let's go back to my course. This pops me over to my math lab where I can do the homework. So I'm in the MyLab site. You could alternately choose, now that we're registered, to do the homework right inside of Canvas. So it's always your call of how you want to do the homework. I could go back to my modules now. So only the first time do we have to do the setup where we have to go through all these steps with Pearson. After that, we're set. So here I am back to module 1. I wanted to show you how this will look. That there's the lecture, and I click next. And here's the homework. I can choose to do the homework right inside of Canvas, so I can just click on question 1, and I'm ready to go. After you answer the question, you hit check answer, and you can just keep going through. So what happened is I have linked my MyLab and Canvas, so everything that could be done if you want to right inside the Canvas class itself. Now, if there's times that that's not working for you or you just don't like it, you can alternatively choose to click on the MyLab and Mastering link. It says, hey, you're leaving Canvas, and I say, that's fine. I'm happy. I'm choosing to do that. If you want to do that, I click on the MyLab and Mastering and click in the Open, and it will take me to the Pearson site. So Pearson is the publisher name. Inside of Pearson, the same assignments are there. So if I click on Assignments, you can see it generates the homework, and I can click on it just like I did inside of Canvas. The homework will pop up. It says, look, you did question 1 because we just did it inside of Canvas. What's nice about being in here is you have other aids as well, but let me show you a few of those aids just because we're already in my MyLab and I'd like to kind of walk you through it. So inside of the questions, there are helps in case you get stuck. So see where it says question help, I click on it, and there are options like help me solve it. Help me solve it takes the problem itself and it walks you through the steps. That's fine. The only problem is when you finish it, you're going to have to say pick another problem because it's not going to give you credit for it. You could alternatively choose to view an example. View an example picks a problem very similar to the one you're given, and it gives you steps. See how it says 5 parts remaining? So it talks you through what's going on, lets you interact with it, and then you have a way to do the problem you were trying to do. Other question helps are Ask My Instructor, which means it'll send an email to me. When it sends that email, please write something so that I know what question you're having and where you're struggling, and that way I can help you as best as possible. Depending on the problem, it may also have the choice of going to the textbook. So that's another question help that can occur. Inside of my MyLab, you also have an e-textbook. The e-textbook pops up many ways. One way it says e-text. You can click on the e-text and then click View e-text. You could go to Chapter Contents and then pick which chapter you want to go to. I think my favorite way, though, to access the book is to go to the Multimedia Library. The Multimedia Library lets you select the chapter, which is nice because the name of the chapter appears with it. Then you can pick the section you would like to do. So say I pick, let's say we're in Chapter 8, and I want to go over trigonometric functions, and then I can say I want to look at the textbook, an activity, a video, or all of them. So let's say we want to look at the textbook. I say find now. Click on the little book. Once you're in the book, you can change pages. So you can go forward and backwards. You have the same access just like you had a regular print book. Okay. So let's head back to Canvas so I can show you a few more things about the course. So let's go back to the modules. I'm just going to skip forward a little in the class. Let me show you Unit 3. In Unit 3, you can see the first lecture is a discussion. So for this, you will watch the video, and then there's a quick little discussion where I ask you to post something. See how it says replies are hidden until you post your answer. So you'll hit the reply, you'll put in your answer, and then you can see what your classmates have said as well. After you've done that, you'll be ready to go to the homework. So occasionally I ask you to do a discussion when you do a lecture. Occasionally I also ask you to answer a few questions for a quiz when you do the homework. So after you watch the video, you would hit take the quiz, and the questions will come up and you'll answer them. Quizzes are always set to give you unlimited attempts until the due date. So say you do a quiz and you're not happy with your score, you can do it again. You don't have to rewatch the lecture, but maybe if you didn't do well on the quiz, you may want to just to find out whatever you were missing. Same thing works when you're done, you hit submit and it tells you your answer. The idea of this is just to keep the course interactive, keep you engaged, let you talk to your classmates from the discussions, or just interact with me a little in the quizzes as well. In general, lectures usually don't have due dates. They only have due dates if they're tied to either a discussion, so you can see this one says August 28th, or if it's tied to a quiz. Discussions have these little bubbles that come up to show that you're talking, and quizzes have something that looks like a rocket. I can show you that with 3.3 as well. With those, there are due dates to make sure you get the work done on time. Otherwise, when you don't see a due date on a lecture, then I just want you to watch it before you do the homework.